What's good, fam? Drake is watching his entire legacy turn to ash, while the same people he used to call brothers keep pouring gasoline on that fire Kendrick started. Even though some thought the dust would settle after 2 years, Rick Ross just proved that the hate is as fresh as ever. This is the story of how the biggest boss exposed the reality that fans are now rejecting Drake's biggest hits in person. On April 15th of 2026, Ross showed up on the GRM Daily series called Thoughts in a Cully to remind everyone why he is the ultimate troll. He looked completely relaxed, sitting in the back of a Rolls Royce while he systematically dismantled whatever was left of the reputation Drake has been clinging to. The boss refused to even say the name of the OVO captain during the interview, calling him the little man or the little boy instead. It was a masterclass in pure and total disrespect from the rapper. That energy matched the BBL Drizzy era and made it clear that Ross sees him as a child playing a game he can no longer win. He was blunt when he called him a lame N-word, stating that no lame person could ever stop him from enjoying the massive records they built together. The recent interview showed that the beef, starting back in April of 2024, has evolved into something much deeper and more permanent. When asked about squashing the beef, Ross made it known that Drake has a long list of character issues to address before they ever speak again. This situation clearly is not just about rap anymore. The total loss of respect has left the OVO captain completely isolated on an island of his own making. The most devastating part of the situation is what Ross revealed about his live shows and how the streets are reacting to that music now. It is one thing for a rapper to talk *T in an interview. The reality is that it becomes another thing entirely when the fans act as the judge and jury. Ross claimed that during his recent performances of classics like Aston Martin Music and Stay Schemin, the crowd energy hits a brick wall during the guest verse. He described a scene that sounds like a total nightmare for any artist who values their cultural impact or their standing in the community. According to the boss, the audience is actively refusing to participate or sing along to any of the parts where the little man is heard. The rapper told the host that he even tries to bait the crowd into singing by saying they can do the little man part, but they just stand there in silence. This is a massive blow to the image Drake tries to maintain as a global chart topper who is supposedly untouchable by his critics. If the fans in a live hip-hop environment are effectively silencing his verses, it means the songs that once defined an era are losing their power. This rejection by the fans is the direct result of the cultural shift that happened after Kendrick Lamar released the track Not Like Us. Kendrick did far more than just win a rap battle. He created a movement that made it uncool to support someone viewed as a culture, vulture, or lame. Ross is just the one holding up the mirror and showing us that the dismantle of the Drake cool factor is finally complete. The fact that fans are standing still during what used to be the most hype moments in hip-hop history tells you everything. He is being systematically erased from the very hits he thought would keep him relevant forever. Rick Ross is leading that charge with a massive smile on his face. Ross literally laughed while describing how awkward it feels when the beat keeps banging, but the entire crowd just stops rapping along. Those old collaborations represented the biggest moments in his show, but now they just show everyone how much the energy has shifted lately. The minute Stay Schemin starts, the fans are ready to go crazy for Ross, but that whole vibe just disappears during the other verse. This situation feels like a straight-up boycott instead of people just being bored. This is a massive blow to his brand. The culture has reached a point where people would rather stand there in silence than give any hype to a man they have lost respect for. We saw this coming the moment Kendrick started pulling out those receipts and exposing how fake the whole OVO persona really is. Since Rose has proven this with real data from his own shows, those OVO fans cannot keep lying about their boy running the streets. Pop fans might keep those streaming numbers high, but Ross is showing that the actual hip-hop world is phasing the little man out for good. You can see the rejection, and you can hear it every single time the boss gets on a stage to perform one of those old records. Things feel cold when the fans decide your voice is not welcome in the building anymore, and he is loving every minute of this collapse. Before we get into how the legal team is trying to fight this in court, I want to know if you think silencing these verses is too much. I want to know if the hate is going too far, or if this is just what happens when you move wrong. So tell me in the comments below. Make sure you like the video and subscribe to the channel, and now we can keep it moving. Ross pointed back to the specific moment his perspective changed, and he claims it all comes down to what he calls straight up police behavior. You have to look at what happened with French Montana and that song called Splash Brothers to understand why the boss feels so much disgust right now. That track was supposed to be a huge moment for the fans, but Drake allegedly sent a cease and desist letter to kill the song before it dropped. Back in 2024, the boss said this legal move was the exact reason he realized Drake was never a real and *****A in the eyes of the industry. This move was a complete betrayal of the streets. In the world where he and French Montana grew up, you do not use the court system to fight your battles or shut down your friends. Using paperwork to stop a record violates every street code that hip-hop stands on, and the biggest boss made it clear that this was the ultimate betrayal of trust. He doubled down on the idea that Drake relies on corporate muscle and expensive lawyers to hide from the culture he claims to be a part of. Kendrick Lamar echoed this same sentiment throughout the entire battle, and now it has become the main story of Drake's career after the beef ended. This specific interview portrays Drake as an outsider who is more comfortable in a courtroom than a recording booth, which proves his power comes from a contract. The Miami legend explained that you have officially disconnected yourself from the essence of rap music the second you start using paperwork to settle a score with peers. This legal interference proved to the whole industry that the little man will rather use his money to suppress his friends than compete on the microphone. That is a weak move that has permanently ruined his reputation with anyone who still cares about authenticity more than industry, politics, and corporate games. Before we see how Ross is moving just as corporate as the man he was just roasting, tell me if y'all think bringing paperwork into a rap beef is a permanent L or just business. Tell me in the comments. No cap. While you at it, hit that like and subscribe. Let's get into why the fans are calling out the boss for this major hypocrisy. Critics are already calling out the irony here because Rick Ross is out here making his own legal plays lately. In early 2026, the news dropped that Ross hit Remy Ma with a cease and desist letter to kill her film titled The Biggest Boss before it even started. People are already calling the boss a hypocrite for jumping into the same corporate games that he clowned Drake for just a few years back. Even though Ross is just trying to protect his brand from Remy Ma, the fans are definitely noticing that both of these men are leaning on the legal system to save their interests. The vibe behind these moves feels totally different because Rick Ross is still moving like a confident mogul who actually owns his territory. He stays headlining major festivals and running his empire down south, while Drake is currently spinning out in a permanent downward spiral that nobody can stop. While the boss is in the back of a color nan, laughing his head off, Drake is out here trying to make this forced Iceman rebrand look cool. Fans have seen him cycle through a dozen personas by now, and this latest attempt to act cold and detached is not landing with the culture at all. You can see the real contrast when you look at that massive 117-page legal appeal Drake filed against Universal Music Group and Kendrick Lamar. This mountain of paperwork is a loud public admission that he cannot handle losing the battle in the court of public opinion. Drake is attempting to use corporate leverage and legal theories to rewrite the history of 2024, but the streets are not letting that happen. Rick Ross is watching these desperate legal filings and seeing a man who has completely lost his grip on reality. During the interview, Ross explained that he will not squash the beef because Drake has massive character flaws that he refuses to fix. The conflict is not about the jokes or the music anymore. It is about the fact that the OVO captain has isolated himself from everyone who used to ride for him. Ross used to be one of his biggest supporters with a catalog of absolute classics between them, but that bridge is officially burned to the ground. The boss is moving forward with his life and his business ventures, while Drake is stuck in a loop of trying to sue his way back into a conversation he already lost. His refusal to have a real conversation or move past the beef suggests that the isolation of the little man is a permanent situation now. Being cast out of the inner circle of the heavy hitters is the new reality, and his former allies are making it clear that there is no path back for him. That interview on GRM Daily was a loud reminder that Drake is viewed as a lame by the very people he used to call his brothers. Seeing Ross sit there and talk about fans rejecting Drake's verses in real time shows that the damage is deep and likely irreversible. Seeing a whole stadium go quiet when a Drake verse kicks in serves as all the proof you need that the Kendrick Lamar effect is still heavy. Drake actually believed he could just go ghost and let everyone forget those receipts Kendrick dropped. But the culture has a memory that never fades. Regaining your cool factor stands as basically impossible once the streets lose respect and your own peers start labeling you a police officer for using legal tactics. Rick Ross is out here living his absolute best life while reminding the world he is still the biggest boss, leaving the little man to count his streams and talk to his attorneys. This entire saga demonstrates that you can have all the hits in the world and still lose everything the moment the people decide you are not authentic anymore. Watching his empire turn into a ghost town represents Drake's new reality. The only residents left are his lawyers and a few stans who still want to ignore the truth. Ross just delivered the final blow to this narrative by showing us that fans are not just tired of Drake, but they are actively rejecting him from the music they used to love. That hip-hop civil war of 2024 might be technically over, but the fallout is still claiming victims. Drake endures that crowd silence every single night. Deciding they would rather hear dead silence, the streets have spoken against a man who uses paperwork to fight his battles. It represents a massive fall from grace to go from being the king of the charts to getting mocked in a Rolls Royce by the man who helped you get there. Ross is not just using words to destroy Drake, he is showing the world that the boy simply does not matter in the places where the music actually lives. This represents the new reality for OVO, and it really feels like no amount of rebranding can save the little boy from the hole he dug for himself. The game has already moved on, and Rick Ross is making sure everybody knows the boss is still standing while the former Golden Boy gets left in the dust. Isolation remains the only thing left for Drake. That silence from the fans is actually the loudest response he has ever received in his whole career.